Okay, today we're going to talk about Article 13. So we're going to go into the rights and duties of the citizen, which is Title 1, the civil relationships. Let me first of all talk about this part, which is rights and duties of the system. This part, we've done the founding principles. This part, we can first of all consider the liberal social political spectrum. We've got this spectrum where you've got the right, which is liberal, and the social, which is the left. And the different rights can be placed on this spectrum. You've got the very individual rights, like personal freedom, which we'll be looking at today, which are very liberal. And then you've got the more social rights, which we can consider are health, the rights for example, education. These are social duties of the state and rights for us. So the individual rights more are the rights not bestowed on us, but actually the natural rights we have. And then you've got collective rights, which are kind of individual rights to form a collective, assemble, for example, for a protest or create an association. And then you've got the political rights, which we can see through both perspectives, both philosophies, liberal and social. You've got the political rights, the right to vote, for example, the right to start a political party, and then economic rights, which are very liberal, the right to start an economic activity and not too controlled by the state, be very free to trade and to build your economic empire and power. So those are quite on the right, very liberal values. So we've got these rights all in the Constitution. The Constitution does go from the left to the right, and maybe the first, let's have a look at the first Title 1, which is the civil relationships. We see more the collective rights and the individual rights described, the articles connected with those. Then the Title 2 is more about social rights, the ethical and social relationships. Title 3, we can see more the economic relationships. We've got economic initiative, etc. And then Title 4, the political relationships. So, Title 1, individual rights. Right. First one, Article 30 is an individual right. Here, I'll start reading. La libertà personale è inviolabile. Right, if we go back to Article 2, we remember that the state, the Republic, recognises the inviolable rights of man. Article 2, that's a founding principle. So this is rooted in that. This is saying that the personal liberty is one of these inviolable rights. Remember, those rights were part of our human nature. They're not bestowed upon us by the state. They're not given to us. They are recognised by the Republic, not established. Libertà personale, what do we mean by that? That really is the rights to be us, to choose our life, to have our political opinion, to have our religion, maybe to to choose who we want to marry, not to be forced by anyone to behave in a certain way, unless it's a law. You know, if there's a law, it can restrict us. But other than that, we mustn't be restricted. That's the point. Obviously, this is kind of a container for all the other rights that we see, like political rights, religious rights, etc. But this is the container which can, you know, maybe come outside of those rights. Maybe to the right to choose who I want to marry. You know, some cultures force their daughters to marry a certain person. Well, that is against our personal liberty. In England, these rights, these individual rights specifically anyway, but this in particular, is very valued. We've got Habeas Corpus, the principle of Habeas Corpus, which was a principle established in the Magna Carta in the 1215, which I've talked about, and which really Habeas Corpus means that, you know, I own my own body. Basically, it's Latin, so I can do what I want. And that's what was established in the Magna Carta, in this charter, to allow the king or force the king to give us our freedom. So we don't just do what he wants unless there's a law. We can do what we want, and if we violate a law, we must be processed appropriately according to a procedure, and not judged by the king, but judged by 12 equals, etc. So that was all about this personal liberty. So this personal liberty encompasses many other rights we have. And in England, presently, we are a member of the European Convention of Human Rights, which, you know, has a lot of personal rights, personal freedoms in it. When we talk about the difference between rights and freedoms, we're going to remember the idea of rights means there's an obligation to give us something, if we go really deep down into the meaning. Whereas a freedom is maybe we must not be restricted or inhibited to be able, we must be given the power to be able to do what we want to do. So it's a subtle difference, and the UK culture values a lot more these freedoms because we prefer a small state, which is about being liberal, being more free, and we value a lot more the idea of freedom rather than a big state which can give us rights. For example, the Article 3 of the Italian Constitution gives us rights to an education and health, etc. That's focused a little bit more on rights. This is focused on freedoms rather than rights. So, and then it says, non è ammessa forma alcuna di detenzione, di ispezione o perquisizione personale, né qualsiasi altra restrizione della libertà personale, se non per atto motivato dall'autorità giudiziaria e nei soli casi e modi previsti dalla legge. Okay, I'll stop there. So this is a lot about against torture. This article is against forcing people to do something against their will, which is against torture, but also things like false imprisonment is present here, specifically indicated. But obviously, it does say that a judicial authority can restrict this personal liberty. So there can be situations where judges deem that it's right to restrict personal liberty because of the situation. We can imagine if somebody's got drugs or is suspected of having drugs, etc., then they may have to be forced to go to a police station or be searched or be interrogated for some crime, etc. And in those cases, there is a case, a law, they must answer to the law. But a judge must make that decision. And then it says, in casi eccezionali di necessità ed urgenza, indicati tassativamente dalla legge, l'autorità di pubblica sicurezza può adottare provvedimenti provvisori che devono essere comunicati entro 48 ore all'autorità giudiziaria e, se questo non li convalida nelle successive 48 ore, si intendono revocati e restano privi di ogni effetto. Okay, so here we see, yes, like the example I've given, if there's a very urgent and necessary situation, the police or the security forces can force us maybe to go to the police station or to search our house or to do something in some specific way, but this must be according to a law and authorised within 48 hours by a judge. So they must communicate this, what they've done to a judge, and within 48 hours, and the judge must respond that this was okay within 48 more hours. So here we can see this really is, habeas corpus in action. We are in charge of our bodies unless there is a law which restricts us, and then it must go through the procedure. It must be go through a process and authorised by a judge which understands the law and can take responsibility for restricting someone's personal freedom. Here again, there have been a lot of accusations against Conte, our Prime Minister, our previous Prime Minister, because of restrictions of our personal liberty, because we're not allowed to go where we want, etc. And this is against the Constitution. But in cases of security, this can be suspended. This right, we know if there's a really serious health risk and a security risk, we can be forced not to go out, which is a form of imprisonment and against our personal liberty, our personal freedoms. So that is a consideration, important consideration. L'autorità di pubblica sicurezza può adottare provvedimenti provvisori. Okay, so this is what Conte did. He did actually not at the level of a law, but on the level of an administrative act, make it impossible for people to leave their region or their house, etc. Then it continues, è punita ogni violenza fisica e morale sulle persone comunque sottoposto a restrizioni di libertà. So anyone who is imprisoned must not suffer any physical violence or moral violence. Moral violence is being forced to do something by psychological means, maybe through threats, for example, going against their own will because of some means, scaring people, etc. So that is always punished. We've got to remember the founding fathers, of many of them experienced prison and see that being imprisoned can mean those that imprison have a sense of power and maybe push the limits, are tempted to push the limits to keep order, to keep people controlled. We create a mini totalitarian system, really, where people haven't got freedom. And so the prison guards must always be responding to the law if they're tempted to say, do this, or, you will be hurt. Go back to your cell or I'm going to attack you. It's tempting to maintain order in that way, but that must always be punished. That would be considered moral violence. Okay. And then it says, la legge stabilisce I limiti massimi della carcerazione preventiva. This is when we put someone in prison who is awaiting trial. Obviously, someone's very dangerous, people have been killed, but there's not been the process, there's not been the trial yet. We need to put them in prison. But how long they wait must be established by the law. So we can't just leave people to rot in prison while we take years and years to get through all the long waiting list of cases. That would be morally very wrong, because they're considered innocent until proven guilty. And it would be a way of imprisoning people without putting them on trial or without reason.